I hold the view that if we get to a critical point where there's a need for taxation solely for our educational system, so we should proceed on that line. Because the many that are vulnerable, because of ignorance, because of lack of education, because they are unable to get to where they are. Here, and I know that the pressure on us as political leaders, pay my school fees, pay my light bill, and all that. If today government is able to deal with that aspect for all of us, the better it is. So yes, the concerns be expressed that there are problems here and there. What is important is the boldness of government to look into all these things. It's one thing listening and not taking steps. But I'm happy that my brother to my left, my own colleague in parliament to my right, are all pointing out to one fact, that the Minister of Education is a determined person, and they are very optimistic about his ability to handle a matter like this. Now, having made the point, let me end by saying that, you see, sometimes when you appear on a program with our friends or brothers who are apolitical, some of the views they express, as though if you were a politician, your opinions are fixated, you don't have a mind of your own, so yes, an independent view. With the greatest respect, this country is being run on political line, ideologies. The constitution is clear. It allows for partisan contributions. If so you decide not to be in politics, partisan politics, so be it, but you have an opinion. So I would want to urge our friends who are apolitical, that sometimes when you proceed your views as though that is superior, or this is so independent, you don't want ping-pong thing, and I'm happy I'm the first to express this view. No, make your point. I am a politician. I chose to be a politician. He chose to be a politician. We come to represent the views of our party. We have our manifesto. So the fact that we express the views of our respective parties, okay, doesn't mean that we are prejudiced or we are not making the point for the benefit of this country. After all, it is political leadership that has brought Ghana that far. Kwame Nkrumah was a politician. He led this country to independence. He had his own political ideology, and those views propelled us to get to a certain level. Kufuor came and all that. So I just want to make that point clearer.
Yes, I get Ricky to react to it, but
because I take offense when some of these.
No, is it not a fact, Alex, that
yes,
politicians have sometimes discussed national issues in a way that does not benefit the nation?
I would answer you. What is a national issue? Okay, a national issue. So hold on. I look at a national. Hold on. A national issue. A national issue is looked at with a certain spectacle. I am wearing a liberal lens, and I hold my views in respect of the national issues in a certain direction. He is saying he's a social democrat. He looks at it with a different lens. It is still within the bigger bowl of national issue. Somebody says that, as for me, I don't want to be ideologically oriented. As for me, I would want to look at it this way or that way. That is also that person's opinion. Whichever way, effective views. It shouldn't be that because you are not partisan,
if we have taken senior high as in a policy, a national policy, why should we discuss it on partisanship?
Implementation. Look, we are in agreement.
The policy itself has been accepted by government. It's been implemented.
No, under the directive principles of state policy, there are certain provisions that are to guide all of us. The National Development Planning Commission, for instance, was supposed to set up long-term plans that government after government would have to implement policies by respecting the yardsticks thereof. My point is that whichever way you would want to look at it. Implementation is a matter of choice and approach. This is a government that believes in a thriving private sector. So the ordinary man on the street will tell you that, oh, as for MPP people there, omuye businessmen, omu pay juma. Another government would want to place emphasis on the public sector. Let us expand opportunities in the public sector for people to be employed. The problem we have in this country, youth unemployment. Everybody talks about unemployment. You get CVs upon CVs coming to your desk. Whether you are an NDC, MPP, whether you yourself as a media practitioner, I'm sure that you get one or two friends telling you that, oh, Bright, help me to get a job. The point is that whereas somebody believes that expanding opportunities in the public sector is the way to go, so let me employ many people here. Another person would also want to hold a view that, okay, let me encourage private sector initiatives. Let me encourage entrepreneurship. Let me get people to get into the private sector so that they can employ people. Again, taxation. Somebody would hold a view that, look, let me give tax breaks for industry to expand. Others would say, no, let us tax those companies, those rich companies. They have so much money. Let us use that money to develop other areas. It's a matter of approach. And I'm saying that all these things work together in the national interest. It may be partisan. I conclude by saying that anybody outside the partisan political circles must not see his views or her views as so superior in the national interest than somebody who is in a partisan political circle. That is a wrong thing, and today that must stop.
Alex, I'm grateful. Yes. Ricky, is that what you meant? That those who, for instance, would discuss this SHS risking closure or on a partisan basis, their views are superior? Is that what you meant?
Right, you know, that's not what I meant. I was considering not even dignifying this outburst with a comment. Essentially, Ghanaians will bear witness that beautiful discussions have tended to be approached from entrenched positions. Nobody doubts the intent of politicians. Nobody needs an education on the Constitution this early morning. We are saying that over time, people take entrenched positions today. I couldn't help but hear him use must. Consider, on what basis could they be? I meant to say, and I will always say, that people do not see things from a specific, too jointist a position to the extent that the matter that is being discussed is not discussed properly. And believe me, right, that intervention this morning has affected the quality of discussion here. That I came out that way has affected the quality of the discussion, because somehow we've agreed on something. That's a rarity. But he said he was offended. I didn't intend to offend anybody. But politicians, sometimes A is in power. I mean, we see it on the commentary on the social. So this opposition, they don't. Upon a time when the government in power was in opposition, and they see planet.
Okay, Rick.
But what the explanation by my place. I mean, the say. I mean, there's a village in my community called Avelebe. In fact, there was no school there. We actually established a new school and everything. And I had a text message from a lady saying that she wants to go there and teach the children self-confidence. And she was sending me regular text messages. And apparently, you know the volume of messages we received. One of them suggested that she needed a vehicle from me to do that. I was there, and then somebody got a page from her Facebook page telling me that do I know that there are some students in my community who couldn't do proper spelling, that she required help from me in terms of vehicle to go and visit the school, and I blatantly refused. This is a lady who can't understand that through our efforts, collective effort, we actually established the school. If there's a problem, and indeed I know there are problems, the best way to deal with it is to go through the education directorate. So indeed, I contacted the education director. I am not one of the people who I want to do health screen director. So automatically, I would order you to let's use the district health director. If you want to do anything about education, I will say let's go through that. But because she's got an organization called an NGO, one day to do whatever she wants to do, she's more superior than all the effort government, MP, assembly member, the community have been doing to improve education. I think that is the line along which maybe Honorable Afenyo Marking is looking at things, that the fact that she did not come as a politician doesn't mean that what she's doing is more superior than what we've been doing. But I would encourage, and indeed we need voices that are not political. To be honest, sometimes I've always said that there's nobody who is not a politician in this country. Even my pastor is not apolitical. I don't know anybody. You have a view. However, you decided not to clothe yourself in one. You decide to express it when it is necessary. So we need independent voices. That one, I believe we need independent voices. Without that, we would have been in a bigger problem. But returning to this, I'm saying that the fact that just about 380,000 people, the largest workforce of government in education, last budget 8 billion, now over 9 billion, about over 70% of that 7 billion is to remuneration. Now, that does not even take into account the free SHS. And I'm saying that if we need to find 4.55 billion to just the middle section, free SHS, we better do it in such a way that it doesn't collapse the rest. I'm happy my colleague acknowledged the fact that who is expecting any new policy not to have challenges? Of course it will have challenges, because some of the fundamentals are not well known. Nobody. That is why I'm saying that as long as we can pay attention to this, that we don't embark on something that will rather bring down the quality of education, then fine. But if this is going to be done in a straitjacket that we promise free education, let's do it. Whether the food is good